Gigabit-Coop. As Rich said, I own, for the most part, Rolla Broadband, which is an internet service provider. We've been in this area for about 10 years. I know some of you through that connection, but others are new. We started out as a wireless internet service provider, but about 5 years ago we started going pretty heavily into fiber. Started in Urbana, bought some infrastructure and started rolling that out. Then along came UC2B, which derailed some things that we were working on and gave us some other opportunities. And over the last few years working on that, we've become convinced that we really need to be taking a local, the people who are concerned about technology and economic development in our community need to be taking the growth of UC2B very seriously. And we need to be doing things to ensure that that growth happens with local resources. We did the math on it, and if you do that build out with locally employed people, and you operate the network with locally employed people, and you have the revenues coming to a local organization, either a company or a not-for-profit or a municipality, the result is about $200 million additional money in our community over the next 20 years. It's a ton of money. It's by far the largest economic stimulus project that I've ever been involved in. And that's, the difference is between an outside company equivalent to Comcast or any for-profit company from the outside coming and operating the network versus us doing it in...
They're sucking money out of the community.
Exactly. Versus doing it in a homegrown manner. And there's lots of different ways to do it homegrown, but what we think is one of the best is using the broadband cooperative model. Broadband cooperatives are a type of utility co-op, and many of you are familiar with utility co-ops from the power and telephone space. So around Champaign-Urbana, most of the territory has its power provided by EIEC, which is, it stands for Eastern Illini Electric Cooperative. So that's the model that we're trying to foster here in Champaign-Urbana with a broadband focus instead of a power focus. And that's, I wanted to talk to you about the progress of that and what we're looking at doing in the community, and hope that we can get your support in doing it and involvement in the future of that project. So I guess last time I gave an overview kind of like that, and then we went into technical details. I guess I'd ask for a show of hands. Do people want us to talk about geeky technical stuff, or do you want to ask questions about how it works or what we're planning to do? Look, first question, geeky technical details first or later?
Later. What exactly does this mean to me? Because it's all about me.
Okay.
I don't care about anybody else. What does this mean to the user? You know, like to us, you know, in our homes. Is this something that's going to be just like an East Urbana and nobody cares, or is this going to be?
Hey, I live in East Urbana.
And none of us care. Or is this something that will be widely proliferated that normal people might be able to take advantage of?
Our goal is to build out fiber to every premise in the Champaign-Urbana, Savoy, and the surrounding areas.
Rural as well.
Rural as well. We are starting actually with Thomasboro, which is a rural community, because we had some fiber that goes past there, so it makes it very easy to get started there. So that's kind of our test bed. We're doing the construction, and I can tell you about the services we're going to be offering there, which would be the model for these services we're offering here. The neat thing about those services, back to what means to you, when we offer them in Thomasboro, which should be within a month, they will, as far as I'm aware, be the fastest, lowest cost services in the U.S.
I'm going to be awful mad if I find out Thomasboro has got 100 gig Ethernet.
That's another value of doing Thomasboro first, because it gets the city folk get all mad at the country folk are going first. So
I'm little Thomasboro fast.
Yeah. That's right.
Real estate in Thomasboro just like this.
Among a certain demographic.
The geek demographic.
That's right. So what I'm talking about there is we're along the lines of it being a utility. We're trying to make internet more like water than it is like gasoline. Right now, internet access is kind of like gas. You pay a lot for it, you have to ration it, you worry about how much you use, you worry about whether you have enough of it. There seems to be a limited supply. We don't want it like that, we want it like water. When you go home and you take a shower, at least if you're on city water, for the most part, you just turn on the water, it's there, you have as much of it as you need. You don't generally worry about the price. It's low enough that you do everything that you want without really thinking about it. Sometimes you have a leaky toilet and you try and get your water bill down, but for the most part, it just is there and it's cheap and it's plentiful. That's what we're going for. We're trying to do it more like that. And if you compare the kinds of things that we're planning to offer to what you have now, it's, you know, when you've been gone for a while and you turn on the faucet and the water comes out of that, we think, is a pretty good analogy for how the internet behaves today. We want it to behave more like a normal water connection where you turn it on and it comes out in a fluid stream, you turn it off when you don't use it, and that's it. There are some technical things we're doing on the back end that make our internet access more like that and less like the Comcast spurty connection. Go ahead.
What are you planning to do for people who rent their apartments?
So that's a big challenge. We, right now, are, if we indeed are able to build out to the entire community, which is our goal, it doesn't matter whether you rent or own, because we will have already built to that area and you'll be able to get access to it. We'll be offering video and phone, which means that your landlord cannot control whether you get it or not. The FCC says that if you're getting, the FCC doesn't say that you have choice in internet providers, but it does say you have choice in video and phone providers. So,
Clever.
well, one of many reasons we're offering those services. Not the-
A lot of rural telcos do the same thing. I came from an area that was rolling out fiber. That was their view as well.
Yeah, rural is hard because of the vast distances between individual homes, truly rural.
And low populations.
The small rural communities are not hard. They're actually easier probably than cities because they're less congested. But the individual homes are not, and that's, our approach to that is something that I thought might be very interesting to you guys. It's a co-op, right? So the idea is the members of the co-op can use the features of the co-op to their benefit. You can come, I also said that our goal is to make the employment all local. We have a training program then, and you can come into the training program. If you're a member of the co-op and you get trained on the equipment, you can use that equipment. And so if you and your friends are 3 miles apart and you want to run the infrastructure to you, now you can do it yourself. You don't have to pay anybody, or you don't have to pay for anybody's labor to do that. You can, you just pay for the physical, the fiber and the duct if you want to put in duct. So, yeah, that's kind of the approach. Go ahead.
Just interrupt, quick question. Will you be able to coexist with Champaign Telephone Company's infrastructure?
Yes, so the UCDB infrastructure is an open access network.
Okay.
Our goal is to be the people who manage the physical infrastructure, but that may turn out not to be the case. We would like that to be the case, and we need as much support as possible. That's where the maximum benefit to the community comes, if we're managing that.
So currently they're in the Industrial Research Park.
Currently,
And
Champaign Tel is in a bunch of different places.
yeah, well, I'm wondering, will you be able to come into that area and compete with them
Yes.
for pricing?
Yes, so actually we just released our research park pricing.
We did.
And it is modeled after the Thomasboro pricing, but $50 higher because the research park charges us $50 to get connected.
That's great.
So that's what.
Where would I get those figures, from your website?
Yeah, I don't know how you get to the research park section of our website, but, but I should talk about Gigabit-Coop and Volo broadband because it's been, what I'm talking about right now is services that you can buy from Volo broadband right now. We are in the process of reincorporating Volo as a cooperative. So that's, over the next few months it'll be confusing, but by the end of the summer, Volo will no longer be a private company, it'll be a public company that the members control. So that's...
Sounds like you're gonna have to talk to lawyers.
I am talking to lawyers.
How depressing is that?
And with co-op stuff, it's kind of specialized, so you sometimes have to talk to special co-op lawyers.
Yeah.
It's fun, but you know, law is just code, right? So
Sure.
it's kind of like hacking.
Much more arcane.
And less clear.
More clicks and
It's like COBOL.
Go ahead.
If you talk to Peter later.
Do you have a map of available distribution?
So Gigabit.Coop, which is my main focus here, is not available yet. It's in the process of forming. And so the reason I'm here to talk to all you guys is to try and get you involved in that formation. It's a co-op. It needs people who are on its board. It needs people in the community to talk about it, and it needs, eventually it will need funding. So we need support to get that, whether or not you put actual dollars in or you just help us connect with people. That's what I'm talking about today. Now the Volo service area, again, on the volo.net website, you can get pricing and service areas, and you can, if you fill out a web form, we'll call you back and that kind of stuff, and tell you about that stuff. Our fiber infrastructure right now is mostly used for larger properties, but within about a month we expect to be offering services based on the UCDB infrastructure. That is, in about 1/10 of town, we'll be able to offer it to most premises, and in the other areas of town, it requires we figure out what we're going to do in each area bit by bit. Last time we talked, one of the people here brought up about a homeowners association, and that's the kind of thing where that the infrastructure, the UCB infrastructure, is something where if we had an agreement from a homeowners association to run to the premise infrastructure in their, what is an area owned by a homeowners association called? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
In their neighborhood,
That's
yes.
people, I don't know.
Then we could roll that out in their neighborhood specifically. And probably in about a month, we're going to put out a call for the first neighborhoods in town to do that. Go ahead.
Is Thomasboro the only outside rural area that you're planning on doing, or will eventually you get all the surrounding bedroom communities attached?
Our goal is to be region-wide. It'll take time. Thomasboro was first because of the synergy of having our cable already there. It's also our test bed where we're fine-tuning our techniques and our technologies. And when we're done with Thomasboro, our goal is to branch out into 2 additional communities. And those haven't been chosen for sure yet. The ones in the running are Mahomet, St. Joe, there was Naucel. We've talked with those each, and we're developing that plan right now. So, in short, I'd love it if when you get home, you go to Gigabit.Coop, which is cool because a lot of people don't know that there's a .coop top-level domain just for co-ops. And click the like on the Facebook page. That's the minimum you need to do to support us. If you want to get more involved, then there's also an email list for people who don't want to be doing the Facebook thing. If you send an email to info@gigabit.coop, we'll be happy to answer any questions. And of course, you can also sign up to be a board member by sending information to info@gigabit.coop. And the official call for board members is going to be going out in about 3 weeks, we believe. So that's where we're at today.
What does a board member do?
A board member sits on a board, a committee. It's cushioned. It's okay. We expect board members to come to 1 meeting a month. It's an interim board, so the decisions you make are only until we have a general election of the membership. That'll happen once we have enough members to make that an effective democratic election. We expect that process to take about 6 months. So what we're asking for is